World War II, Diaries uncovering untold stories from the front lines. Prologue, the box of memories. The attic smelled of dust and forgotten summers. Sunlight streamed through a small window, catching the edges of a weathered trunk tucked away beneath moth-eaten blankets. It was there that I found the diaries, dozens of them, bound in leather, some barely holding together, their pages yellowed with age. Each diary was a voice, silenced for decades yet alive on the page. Soldiers, nurses, mothers, children. Even a prisoner of war, each had written their truths. They did not know they would be read 80 years later. They only knew that by writing, they were clinging to sanity in a world gone mad. What follows are their words, stitched together not as history books tell it, but as life was felt. Fragile, terrified, brave, and unbearably human. 1939 to 1941. The first cracks. Diary of Anna Muller, Warsaw, September 2nd, 1939. Yesterday morning, the sky broke apart. Planes roared over the city and the earth shook. Mama held me under the kitchen table as glass shattered everywhere. Papa said it was the Germans. The war everyone whispered about has arrived. I am only 16. How can a girl of 16 already feel so old? Anna's diary was filled with the trembling scrawl of a teenager forced to grow up too quickly. She wrote of bombs falling like rain, of friends disappearing overnight, of neighbors vanishing into trucks with soldiers shouting commands she could barely understand. Diary of Corporal James Whittaker, British Expeditionary Force, France, May 26, 1940. We are told to retreat. Dunkirk. None of us thought it would come to this. I looked into the eyes of my men, some barely older than boys, and I saw fear, but also something harder, like iron. The sea is our only hope now. The Germans press closer every hour. God help us all. James would later survive the evacuation at Dunkirk, crammed into a fishing boat that carried more souls than it should have. His entries from that time were short, as if exhaustion limited his words, but the raw humanity in them was undeniable. Diary of Sergeant Ivan Petrov, Soviet Border Guard, June 22, 1941. We awoke to fire. No warning, no declaration, only the scream of artillery tearing the morning apart. Germany has betrayed us. I saw comrades burn alive in their bunkers. The world says we are strong, but today I saw the Red Army crumble like sand in the wind. 1942 to 1943. Hope and despair. Diary of Claire Dubois, nurse, occupied Paris, March 1942. I change bandages by candlelight. The Germans do not know we hide these men in the cellar. Resistance fighters, they call themselves. To me, they are just boys with frightened eyes. Last night, one of them, barely 20, asked if I believed France would ever be free again. I lied and told him yes, though in my heart, I was not so sure. Claire's diary captured the silent battles fought in hospitals, kitchens, and cellars. Women like her kept the spirit of nations alive while cities crumbled above. Diary of Private David Rosenfeld, American GI, North Africa, November 1942. The desert is endless. Heat during the day, freezing cold at night. Today I buried a friend, a man I'd only known for 3 weeks. Yet it felt like years. The chaplain said words about sacrifice, but I only heard the silence that followed. I keep thinking of my mother back in New York, lighting candles and praying. Will her prayers find me here across the ocean? David's entries remind us that soldiers weren't nameless uniforms. They were sons, brothers, and husbands, each carrying letters folded in pockets, each dreaming of survival. Diary of James Whittaker, now captain, June 6, 1944. Normandy. Dawn broke, and with it, hell. The sea was thick with ships, the sky swarmed with planes. Men vomited from fear in the rocking waves. I told them to remember home, to remember why we fight. When the ramp dropped, the world became fire. I cannot write more, only that we ran forward into death. And somehow I am still alive to hold this pen. The invasion of Normandy lived in his words not as a grand strategy, but as mud, blood, and trembling hands. Diary of Anna Muller, now part of the Warsaw Uprising, August 1944. We rose today. The city sings with gunfire. We know we cannot win, not against tanks, against bombers, but we fight because we must. My hands shake as I write. Mama cried when I left the house with a pistol too heavy for me. I may not live to see another dawn, but at least the world will know we resisted. Her diary ended in early September. The uprising was crushed. Anna's voice stopped mid-sentence, as if the page itself was silenced. 1945. Silence and Survival. Diary of Sergeant Ivan Petrov, Berlin, May 2nd, 1945. The Reichstag burns. German soldiers throw down their weapons, their faces pale as ghosts. I have seen too much death to feel joy, only emptiness. I walked through a street today where children search corpses for food. This is victory, they tell us. Yet it feels like loss. Diary of Claire Dubois, Paris, May 8, 1945. The bells ring. Paris is alive with sound. People dance, embrace strangers, wave flags from windows. Yet in the hospital, I wash the blood from a boy who will never dance again. Peace is here, yes, but so is grief. Both cling to us, inseparable. When I finished reading the last diary, I closed the trunk with trembling hands. The war had ended long ago, but its echoes remained alive in these pages. They were not generals or politicians. They were ordinary souls, caught in extraordinary times. What they left us is not just history. It is humanity, fragile, fierce, and unforgettable. Uncovering untold stories from the front lines. 1942 to 1943. Shadows of the Holocaust. Diary of Samuel Klein, age 12. Lodz Ghetto, December 1942. Snow fell today. I tried to catch a flake on my tongue, but Mama told me not to open my mouth outside in case the guards saw and laughed. We are always hungry. Papa says to remember better days when we had bread and warm soup. I do remember, but sometimes I wonder if those days were just dreams. My sister Rachel whispers at night that she wants to be a bird. Birds do not need bread. Birds can fly away. Samuel's handwriting grew shaky in later pages. His last entry, in the spring of 1944, stopped mid-sentence. The soldiers came this morning. Mama says we are... The pencil mark trailed off into silence. 1943, The Conflicted Hearts. Diary of Karl Hoffman, Wehrmacht soldier, Eastern Front, September 1943. They call us heroes, but my hands are red. I shot a boy today, not much younger than my brother back home. Orders, they said. Always orders. The commissars tell us the enemy is less than human. But when I looked into his eyes, I saw fear. And fear is human. I try to pray at night, but my prayers sound like lies. If I return home, what kind of man will I be? Karl's diary revealed a truth often hidden. Not all who wore the gray uniform believed in the cause. Some were trapped in machinery larger than themselves, carrying guilt they could never shed. The Pacific Front. Diary of Aiko Tanaka, Hiroshima, July 1945. The war feels endless. My brother was drafted 2 years ago. Mama still lights incense for him. At school, they tell us to dig trenches, to prepare bamboo spears for when the Americans come. I am 16. I should be painting, reading poetry, dreaming of love. Instead, my hands are blistered, my stomach always empty, and yet when I walk along the river, I see the willows bending in the wind, and I think perhaps Japan will bend too, but not break. Her diary's final entry was dated August 5th, 1945, a day before the world changed forever. Italy and the Resistance. Diary of Marco Bellini, partisan fighter, Northern Italy, October 1944. We sleep in caves, eat what we can steal, and fight with weapons older than our fathers. But we fight. Last week, we sabotaged a railway line. The explosion echoed through the valley like thunder, and for a moment, we felt powerful, like giants. Then came the reprisals. 10 villagers were shot in the square. My heart is heavy. We strike for freedom, yet our blows fall on the innocent as much as the enemy. Marco's words showed the moral weight of resistance. Heroism was never clean. It was soaked in the blood of choices no one should have to make. 1945, the war's end. Diary of Private David Rosenfeld, Germany, April 1945. We entered the camp today. I do not have words. Piles of shoes, piles of glasses, piles of bodies, survivors who looked like shadows. One woman touched my hand and whispered, "Don't forget us." I wanted to promise her, but my throat closed. How can I not forget when I cannot even breathe? David never fully recovered from what he witnessed at Buchenwald. His diary entries grew sparse, filled with nightmares more than memories. Diary of Claire Dubois, Paris, May 1945. The war is over, they say. Crowds dance in the streets, kissing strangers, waving flags. But when I walk through the hospital ward, I see men without arms, boys without faces. Peace has come, but for many, the war will never end. I wash the blood from my hands tonight, but no soap can wash away the memories. The Hiroshima Aftermath. Diary of Dr. Kenji Sato. Hiroshima, August 7, 1945. I do not know how to describe what I saw. Yesterday morning, the sun fell to earth. A single flash, and the city vanished. Skin melted from bone. Mothers searched for children whose shadows were burned into walls. I have tended the wounded for 24 hours without rest, but I can do so little. How does one doctor mend the wounds of hell itself? Kenji's diary, preserved by his family, remained one of the few first-hand accounts of Hiroshima in the immediate days after the bombing. His words carried the weight of a world entering a new terrifying age. The silence after the guns. Diary of Karl Hoffmann, Germany, November 1945. I returned home to find ruins. Our house is gone. My mother is gone. Neighbors look at me with eyes full of blame, though I never believed in Hitler. But belief does not matter. I wore the uniform. I carried the rifle. I pulled the trigger. I am alive, but I do not know how to live. Diary of Anna Mueller's mother, Warsaw, 1946. I search for Anna every day, though I know she is gone. I walk the streets of Warsaw, a city of graves, calling her name. Sometimes I dream I hear her voice. Sometimes I almost see her, turning a corner, her braids swinging behind her. But it is only the wind, only my heart refusing to let go. Final reflection. The box closes. The last page in the trunk was unsigned, written in a hand too weak to finish the words. If someone reads this, know that we lived, we loved. We were afraid, but we did not give up. Tell the world we were here. I closed the box that day, tears staining the yellowed pages. History will always speak of armies, battles, and treaties. But these diaries, these fragile voices remind us that the war was not only fought with guns. It was endured in whispers, in prayers, in the beating hearts of millions who wanted nothing more than to live.